Hello, hello. Welcome. I am so excited to be here today. I am trying a new platform, so I hope that you will kind of dig it and hopefully I can utilize it in the appropriate way. So give me a few moments to get this all set up, but I am excited to be here with you guys today. If you are here, please go ahead and give me a shout out in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I would love to connect with you. Tell me where you're watching from. And so I'm excited for tonight. We are kicking off another episode in our Working Wellness series that's kicking off Wednesdays at 6 o'clock. And today I'm excited. We're going to be talking about questions to ask your team so you can build engagement, loyalty, and trust. And I am excited to talk about this because I think, last week in our previous episode, we were talking about technical skills versus soft skills like communication skills, if they're flexible, adaptable, and the importance of having a balance of both. And so today I want to kind of dig into that a little bit deeper and talk about, how to connect with your team. If you're a manager, you know that sometimes this can be one of those things that can be a challenge, especially as you're trying to, go through meetings and your appointments and get everything that you have to do on your plate done, so this really kind of comes into play here, and I'm excited to really talk about it because I think it's an extension of what we talked about yesterday. If you are watching live, go ahead and give me a comment or shout out. I would love to hear from you and hear where you're, watching from. For those who are watching on the replay, thank you. I'm so excited. Please go ahead and also comment if you're watching on the replay. I would love to connect with you as well because I go through all of the comments. So as I mentioned, we're talking today about questions to ask your team. So to get things started, I want to ask you a question. So have you ever secretly or publicly hated your boss or didn't feel a real connection with them? Have you ever felt like that before? I know that I have, and this is I've had a job since I was 13, and so for me, I've had a lot of bosses and managers over the years, and there's been times where to be honest, there wasn't a real connection. And then on the other hand, I've had great bosses, great mentors over the years that have, guided me throughout my career. And so I am incredibly grateful for all my bosses and managers because no matter if I've connected with them or not, they've all taught me lessons, that I've taken, with me over the years. So, I want to hear from you. I mean, have you ever felt, like your team didn't really listen to you or, maybe respect you or trust you? Have you ever really felt like that? I'm curious if you've ever felt like that. And if so, I would love for you to type so in the comments because I want to see if this is landing or resonating with you at all as a topic of interest, because I think it's a fascinating topic, to be honest. I think that I kind of like psychology. I like, understanding how to connect with people, and how, just differences, with our approaches, can really make a difference. And so, if you're watching live, I would love to hear from you. Give me a shout out in the comments. I'm trying out this new platform. I really kind of dig it. It's called eCam. It works with Facebook Live. And, I'm excited, to bring this to the series today. So again, our topic tonight is how you can build engagement, loyalty, and trust by asking your team specific questions. So, when I think about this, I think about connection. I think about, what prevents your employees or your team members from really relating to you as a leader, as a manager. Like, what is stopping them from being open and completely honest with you? And if you have a response to that, I would love to hear, what you might think about that question. I am really, I've thought a lot about this topic because it's a topic that, as I manage teams over the years and it's just been one of those things where I try to connect as much as I can with those that I manage. And sometimes, I did great. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I didn't do so great. And, I think that as a manager, as a leader, you constantly have to evolve. You have to be a student yourself to being open and willing to learn new things. And that's why I think this is such a great topic. So, if you've ever been a manager before, have you ever had that feeling that you're just not really connecting? The things that you're trying to do or help, your team are just not sinking in, and no one's really listening to you, or maybe they disrespect you, they don't trust you, and that can impact your team's morale, it can impact productivity, and maybe even impacts your revenue numbers. And if that's the case, I would love, if you would let me know if this makes sense. If you've ever experienced this on one side or the other, you could have been, a team member, an employee that didn't relate to your manager, or maybe you're a manager that is not relating to some of your team members. So either way, I think that this is a great topic to talk about. So if you are hanging out with me, give me a shout out in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you're watching on the replay again, go ahead and answer the questions and engage, because I would love to come back in and just reply and connect with you as we move forward. So okay, so what I think it comes down to, and the reason why I think employees do not really open up and be honest with what's going on, either, within your team, your company, or even maybe giving you as a manager feedback, is fear. And I think it's really fear of consequences, fear of repercussions, fear of not knowing that if you are truly, completely honest with your manager, are they going to, are they going to be mad at you? Are they going to give you crap assignments, moving forward? Are they going to say something to HR? Or are you going to be on the chopping block when the next round of layoffs comes? So there's this fear that, hey, you know what? I can't be completely honest with my boss. So I'm just going to tell them what they want to hear instead. And, raise your hand if you've ever had that experience, whether it's one of those surveys that your company sends out, or if your manager asks you a direct question and you're like, hey, and they really want to know, hey, what is your feedback? And you don't really know what to say, because you know that if you were actually truly honest, that you actually might get fired. And no one wants to get fired for giving their opinion, because we all have bills to pay and lives to lead, right? So, that's not cool, right? So I think that, I think it's really important, to ask your team questions on a regular basis that connects with them, so that they get in a habit of actually knowing that you really do want their feedback, that you actually really care, and that you really want to involve them in the process, right? So I think that that's really, an important factor. And so I think, as a manager, it's really important that, you remove that fear that your employees or team have, so that they can feel like they can actually speak up. So encourage them, let them know that, that they can be open and honest with you, and that their opinion really matters, and that their answers, will help the team, the company, even you as a leader get better. Because at the end of the day, we want to work for a company that succeeds. We want to work with a team that exceeds, because at the end of the day, that's going to be a win for everyone involved. So I just would love, for you to, comment and let me know if this is really landing for you, and if you are, if this isn't making sense at all. So, all right. So I think that, as a manager, I think weekly one-on-ones, weekly check-ins are a must. And if you are a remote manager or you have remote employees, make sure that you're connecting with them live and in person on a regular basis. And, if you aren't able to travel to them, or meet them for coffee, then maybe do like Skype sessions, videos. I know that I was a remote manager and who was at a remote location. So I worked remote and managed remote. And that was a challenge for me personally as a manager. I felt that created a disconnect, with, those on the team. And, that I actually went to, the offices, with the team maybe once a month, twice a month, but within that time, there's still so much that you need to connect with your team members on. So I highly recommend, that you do the videos, especially with remote workers. So definitely have weekly one-on-ones, weekly check-ins, and just make sure that you're regularly touching base with your employees and with your team so that they know that they can be with you and give you open and honest feedback on a regular basis. And so you don't want to save these conversations. You don't want to ask for feedback, get their opinion just on the mid-year or the end of the year performance review. We want to get this on a regular basis and really check in and see how things are going with your team. Hey, Sean, how's it going? It's good to see you. I appreciate the thumbs up. For some reason, Facebook digs the hearts and the shares and the thumbs up. So if you guys are watching live or on the replay, I would love it if you can, spread the word, share the love. As that kind of helps get this message out there. So appreciate that as always. So thanks, Sean. So getting back, I want to talk about questions that you can ask your team. And I think one of the very first questions to set the tone is to talk about a celebration. Talk about a win. Like what do they feel is a win that they accomplished recently within the last week or from your last conversation? And I think we don't do this enough. And I am one of these individuals that is really bad about focusing on celebrations. And I will tell you, I will admit, that I did not do this enough when it came to celebrating my team. It was always go, 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 go. What's next on the list? How can we move the needle forward? And it's like, cool, yeah, great job, but move forward. But I didn't take the time to settle in. I didn't take the time to really connect on the celebrations and give that the time it deserves, because that's so important. And I really believe that we have to celebrate with our team, and people need to feel encouraged. They need to feel that positive momentum. And I really think that, as managers, we have to celebrate our team members more and encourage them, because that makes them feel good about their position, makes them feel good, that they're contributing to the organization. And so I would really encourage you that when you're sitting down, with your team members, to kick it off with, hey, what do you feel has been a great win over the last week? So really kind of dig into what's a celebration. The second question that I would ask is, what's your biggest challenge right now? And this is a great question, because I think that, there's always roadblocks or challenges or things that kind of get in our way from really moving forward. And as a manager, as a mentor, you're a mentor and a guide. You're supposed to help your team members get over those hurdles, get over those challenges and those roadblocks so they can get, to the next level, to the next project, to get a win so that you can have, more celebrations. And so I think it's really important to ask them what they feel is their biggest challenge, because ultimately that's going to help both that individual feel like, they're moving forward, that you really care, and, that you want them to succeed and get past that. So, as a team, you can, grow and succeed all together, right? So I think that is a great question. So what's your biggest challenge is the second question, right? So what's a celebration? Number one, what's your biggest challenge right now? Number two, what do you guys think about those questions? Is that, do those make sense? Do you guys ask those on a regular basis when you're chatting with your team? And if so, I would love to hear from you in the comment section, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. I would love to, know what questions you ask your team. So I'm going to continue moving forward with the third question, which is, are there any projects you'd like to work on if given an opportunity? And I think this is a great question. And I think that as you're working with individuals, you need to find out where they want their career to go. Where do they see themselves in 5 years? This is a lot of times this is kind of part of, the interview process, but, I think that it's a great question to kind of add to your repertoire, on a regular basis, because I think that, things change and, especially as someone is kind of coming into your organization, coming into your team, where they might see themselves might change, as, as the company grows, as their position grows. And so, what projects would they like to work on if they had that opportunity? I think this is a wonderful question, because I think that as a manager, you are responsible not only for their growth within your organization, but you're there as their mentor and as their guide. And I want to say that this is something that I feel like I did well, because I really wanted to check in, and I kind of framed it up as this, is like, look here, I am here to help guide you and be a mentor and get you to where you want to be, whether that is within this organization or at another company. Obviously I want them to stay and work with me as long as possible, and the organization as long as possible. But the reality of the situation is that people, change positions. And whether you're a manager for, a year, or you're their manager for 5 months or 5 minutes, you really, need to kind of understand where their growth is and where they will see themselves moving forward. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Good to have you here. So we're talking about questions to ask your team members. And so this third question that I'm on is, are there any projects you like to work on, if you were given the opportunity? And so I really love this question, because it's something that I think every manager needs to really understand with those that they manage, where they see their team members, like where do those team members want to go with their career? You're not there just to dictate and delegate to them. You're there to be a guide and help them and help them grow and get to the next level. So whatever that might be for your team members, really kind of sink in. And once you learn, hey, what projects, would really excite them? What would they actually really want to work on? Then you can say, okay, cool. Well, I know, that Tim, likes to work on, this project. So, the next time the opportunity arises, I'm going to get them to kind of help out with this, or maybe even take the point on it, to give them an opportunity to work on the things that excite them, that will grow them, that will help them and serve them moving forward in their career. So I love this question, and I hope if you don't have this, if you're not currently asking this question, I would love for you to kind of add it and see kind of the feedback. I would love to know that feedback that you get from your employees on these questions. So one of the other questions is, how can I help you? Right? How can I help? I think I know that might be overly simplistic, but I think this is a point where you can frame it in, multiple ways, depending on your approach and your personality. But this is an opportunity for your team members to give you feedback, not just on, how things are going with the team, with the organization, with their role, but also with you and your relationship with them. I mean, you have to get to a point where you're connecting, with each individual team member. And you also, as a manager, need to be comfortable with constructive feedback. And admittedly, this can be uncomfortable. No one wants to hear if they're doing a poor job, or if they, that type of a thing. But we have to ask these questions, because at the end of the day, I think there's a stat on Forbes that said that, I don't know if it's 40 or 60% of individuals actually leave because of their boss. So you don't want to be one of those bosses that is driving your employees crazy and driving them to your competition. So it's time to kind of wake up and get comfortable with receiving constructive feedback, because I think it's going to help you grow as an individual and as a manager, but it's also going to show your, employee, your team members, that you care about their feedback, because you want to learn and grow too. It's a place to be humble. Is really what it comes down to. And so I think that it shows that you're not trying to be perfect and that you want to be of value, to your team and that you value their feedback. Right. And that's really important. And that will help you connect on a regular basis with your team. So ask how you can help. And you can frame that up in different ways. You can ask, is there anything I can work on? Is there anything else you need from me as your manager? You can frame that conversation up in different ways, and you can base it based on your personality, but you have to watch your tone with those questions, right? You can't be like, okay, well, how am I doing as a manager? It's really kind of one of those things where you kind of have to put ego, pride aside, be mindful when you are having your one-on-ones, with your team members that, you just have to be mindful of your tone. And I know that there have been times in the past where I was so rushed and stressed with my job and my position and role and going from meeting to meeting to meeting that when I came down time to have my one-on-ones, I was stressed out. I was tense. And so, that plays a role in your tone. And so although you might be coming from a pure and, good place, that sometimes that intention doesn't come through because you're, because of your tone, because of how you're approaching it. So just remember that, as you're having these conversations with your team members and, especially when you're asking for feedback, I think it's really important, to be mindful of your tone. And so with that, here's the final question. What can, our company do to make you more successful? And so you're showing that, personal growth and training and development are important. And, and from my perspective, training and development are key cornerstones of any corporate wellness program. So again, I don't believe corporate wellness is, a fruit bowl, is a gym discount or perks or, healthy snacks. I mean, it is so much more than that. And corporate wellness, when done right, it really puts a strong emphasis on training and development. And so when you're having conversations, with your employees, asking them what can, we as an organization or what can the company do to make you more successful shows that you're interested in their growth as individuals, as, for their career, and you want to see them succeed. And so I think that ultimately when you, approach in having conversations with your team members, as you want their open, honest, and feedback, you want to connect with them, then that helps them become more motivated. It helps them become more productive. And hey, if they're more productive, that can mean, hey, you might make more money as a company. So that could be a win-win-win. So absolutely, Tim, mind, body, soul with the corporate wellness. It is completely holistic. I use top to bottom strategies for it, and you get it because you are a coach as well, a business coach. And hey, Tim Felmar, he is a great contact. So I'm going to give him a shout out. So thanks, Tim, for watching. I know that you also have great coaching advice, for managers and leaders as well in businesses. So I'm glad you like this information, and I just thank you so much for watching. So if you're watching on the replay, I think that, definitely chime in on the comments. I always go back. So watching live, thank you. Watching on the replay, thank you. Again, this was all about, finding a way to connect with your team, finding a way to do so on a regular basis so that they feel comfortable being open and honest in giving you feedback. And I think that's really, really important in this day and age to connect with your team members on a regular basis and to, maybe change things up. If you have, standard questions that you ask your team members on a weekly basis, maybe add a couple of these into the mix and see what kind of reaction you get. I think that we have to change things up, and we have to, put ourselves in a position where we're willing to get constructive feedback, where we're willing to put the ego and pride aside, where we're willing to focus in and connect with our employees on a deeper level. Because I think that sometimes, everyone, at the end of the day, everyone wants to feel appreciated, heard, and feel like they mattered. One of my mentors, Cynthia Pasquella, says that, and I think that that is beautiful, because I think that at the end of the day, that is what everybody, wants, no matter what your position is within an organization, or, if maybe you don't even work at a corporation, that's fine, but at the end of the day, you want to feel appreciated, heard, and mattered. And so when you're with your team members, when you're connecting with them on a regular basis, when they feel like they can trust you, that they can open up and be honest, I think that that is a beautiful thing. It creates, it creates a better, team environment, working environment. And ultimately, I think that that helps energize, motivate, and ultimately help, the team and the organization be more productive, as well as be more profitable at the end of the day. Because, what we want to see is we want to see the organization be profitable, but we also want to create a happier and healthier environment, for the employees. And so I think that that's really important to keep in mind as we move forward. So, all right, guys. Well, that is pretty much what I wanted to talk about today on this episode. If you are watching live or on the replay, I would love to know what topics of interest you might like to learn about moving forward. And because I want to provide you with the most value, I want to bring it for you every week. And I'm committed to this thing, right? So every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Hey, and if you have any suggestions for alternative days and times, I'm also, willing to change things up, depending on what's, best for everyone. So, I'm here to be of service. I'm here to be of value. Again, my name is Allison Bream. I am the CEO and founder of Virtual Corporate Wellness, and I help businesses lower their healthcare and talent acquisition costs. So with custom corporate wellness strategies, so that they can retain and recruit top talent, increase productivity, and become known as one of those best places to work. So if you have any questions for me, if you want to talk, if you want to sit down and strategize about what can be done with your organization in terms of corporate wellness, I would love to sit down and chat with you. I have some strategy sessions open next week. I believe that there's about 4 of them open next week. So private message me, if you are interested in chatting further. So again, thanks, Sean. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, everyone, for watching live. Thank you for watching the replay. Again, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and give me a shout out in the comments, because I would love to connect with you. And so I'm going to wrap it up for the evening, and I thank you and appreciate you so much, and I will see you next week.